Hey, Chiefs Kingdom, if you are a fan of the Chiefs, if you love this football team, well, all you got to do is like this video. Let's get 500 plus likes on today's show. The more likes means we can show all our other channels at Chat Sports. Hey, the 49ers show only got 200 likes. That's not a real fan base. Hit that thumbs up icon and help us out. If you love the Kansas City Chiefs, all you got to do is like this video. Coming up, got some news and rumors to get into, so stick with us. You're watching the Chiefs Report. I am Harrison Graham. You can give me a follow on Twitter at HGrahamNFL. More Chiefs news, rumors, information, and hey, just talking to me over there at HGrahamNFL on Twitter. Let's start at the center position. Is rookie Creed Humphrey going to start over Austin Blythe? There's a decent chance this could happen. Now, the initial response from me and just in general was, okay, well, he'll compete with Austin Blythe, and I still think that's probably going to be the case. Brett Veach has talked about competition on this offensive line, but when you kind of dig into this more, A, they spent one of their premium picks on him in the second round, and B, Austin Blythe is making less than $1 million this year on his one-year contract. Remember, though, Blythe did play well last year for the LA Rams, so I wouldn't exactly just pencil Creed Humphrey into the starting lineup, but I do think there's a decent chance. Here's what Brett Veach had to say about this. It's going to be extremely competitive offensive line room, and there's going to be a lot of depth there. We have a lot of talent there now with Creed coming in here, needless to say, and now you feel good about leaving Tooney where he's most comfortable, and that's at the guard position. Went on to say, and Creed now gives you a bigger center option, and we had been talking about that. Austin has shown he can come in and play. He's done that over his career and has shown that he can do it at a high level. At the end of the day, and I want to remind you that Austin Blythe can play some guard as well, the goal for this group is to get the best five out there, because we saw last year that with all the injuries in the Super Bowl, they thought they had their best five that were available, and they probably did. Wasn't nearly good enough, which is why that Brett Veach has overhauled this offensive line, both from a starting five standpoint, but from a depth standpoint as well. I think you go about 8 deep with your bodies up front, and that is a very, very good thing overall. So we'll see who starts at center, but it's also possible that both these guys could end up starting. Maybe Austin Blythe starts at right guard. Who the heck knows? Who starts at center? Go ahead and let me know in the comments. CH for Creed Humphrey, AB for Austin Blythe. We'll make this the pinned comment on today's video, so you go ahead and get your votes in. When you look at this offensive line depth chart, I think the only thing for sure in terms of starters is left tackle Orlando Brown Jr. We know he's going to start there. Joe Tooney, he's going to start at left guard. You're not going to mess with that. Center, though, Austin Blythe, Creed Humphrey. I think that's a competition. We'll see who starts. Right guard, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, Kyle Long. I think that's going to be a competition. Maybe Blythe is in that mix as well if Humphrey starts at center. And then at right tackle, Lucas Niang and Mike Rimmer. So I think that's a competition. The point is, 8, 9, 10 deep on this offensive line. Andrew Wiley's not a bum either. You've got some good options, including now Creed Humphrey at the center position. I feel great about that center spot. I think Austin Blythe is better than Austin Ryder, and I think Creed Humphrey for sure long-term is better than any center you've had since Mitch Morse, and I think obviously over time he will ultimately be the starting center of this football team. It's just a matter of when that happens. It could be week 1. Maybe it's not until 2022. The point is Brett Veach went out this offseason and wanted to get better up front, and he has done that both in the draft and in free agency at center, at guard, and at tackle. So I'm excited to see how training camp plays out and to see which 5 of those players end up being the starting offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs Report isn't going anywhere just because the NFL draft is over. We're going to bring you the latest news, rumors, and much more videos for you guys. So keep it here, lock us in, hit that subscribe button, and don't miss a video here on the Chiefs Report. Jerick McKinnon signed on Friday, by the way. We didn't really get to cover this one, so I want to kind of hit on the signing, and then some contract details have emerged. He signed during the draft, so we were swamped here at Chat Sports. Sorry for not hitting this story. Signed on Friday, but now some details have come out. So a little over $1 million, but he's only going to cost about $850,000 against the salary cap, which means a couple of things. One, he's cheap for a player who can give you a little bit of, dynamic ability as a pass catcher, especially out of the backfield. And B, doesn't necessarily think he's going to mean he's going to make this football team, right? We know that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is your starter. I think it's pretty safe to say that Darrel Williams, based on his the way he played down the stretch last year, I think he's RB2. And then you've got RB3 that's pretty open. Jerick McKinnon, Darwin Thompson. Does Elijah McGuire or Derek Gore end up emerging? That could be a possibility. Obviously, Michael Burton's going to be your fullback after the Shermanator retired this offseason. I'm intrigued by this McKinnon signing. I think as far as a pure rusher goes, he doesn't give you much at this point in his career, just under 4 yards a carry. Did have 5 touchdowns last year for San Francisco, so that's definitely no slouching stat right there. But as a receiver, this is where he's always been dangerous. Think back to his Minnesota days, because remember, the 49ers gave him a pretty fat contract after 2017, was injured both 2018 and 2019. I thought his career may be over, but then he came back last year and played fairly well for San Francisco, especially as a receiving back. We know the Chiefs, they're kind of a running back by committee style anyway. Now, obviously, drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round last year meant he's going to be the lead back, but Darrel Williams will get touches, and I think whoever the third running back is, whether it's Jerick McKinnon or someone else, will get some opportunities as well. So this will be interesting. It's a good, cheap signing. Training camp should be competitive at the running back spot, just like we mentioned at offensive line as well. Pick one to keep for me because, again, I think CEH and Darrel Williams are locked in to make this roster. 4 guys could make it, but let's just say they keep 3 running backs. Which of these 4 are you keeping if you're in charge? Type JM for Jerick McKinnon, DT for Darwin Thompson, EM for Elijah McGuire, DG for Derek Gore. I think I'd keep Jerick McKinnon. It seems like every time they've given Darwin Thompson an opportunity, he fumbles, he drops a pass. He's flashed at times, but McKinnon would be the safer veteran type of option there. And with his contract, pretty cheap as well. Get your votes in, JM, DT, EM, or DG. This show is sponsored by the Newsbreak app. Go to chatsports.com/ChiefsNB. Here's what Newsbreak does for you guys. You can keep up with local news, weather, politics, pop culture, everything happening in your neighborhoods. I'm going to pull my phone out of my pocket here. Boom, just got a Newsbreak alert. And you know what that means? Hey, I can see all the poppin' stories in my local area, zip code, area code. Wrong thing there on the area code. Zip code. Harrison, you're an idiot. I'm pulling a Mitchell Renz right now. That's why he's on the Raiders report. The point is, you can keep up with all the stories happening in your neighborhood based on your zip code. So plug it in, download the app, chatsports.com/ChiefsNB. No one has time to look at 17 different websites to be caught up with local news and sports. It's all aggregated on one feed with Newsbreak. Tyrann Mathieu, could an extension be around the corner? I think so. I think this is probably the next priority for Kansas City. They do have some cap space already, but if you want to create more, just extend the Honey Badger. This was talked about before the draft. Brett Veach kind of hinted, hey, we're going to focus on the draft, and then afterwards we'll focus on any potential contract negotiations, extensions, etc. Tyrann Mathieu's a prime contract extension candidate, right? Entering the final year of his deal, set to count almost $20 million against the cap. That's pretty high. You could lower that number by giving him an extension. Here's what Veach had to say Monday, which earlier today, about this very topic, saying, hey, I had mentioned earlier that once we get through this free agency and draft, we'll sit down. Last year, we were able to get a lot of our veteran players done during the summer, and enough can't be said about Tyrann and how we feel about him and his role both on and off the field here. An extension is clearly coming. I don't think there's any doubt. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and Tyrann Mathieu says, look, I've made a lot of money. Obviously, based on what he said, he still wants to get paid, but doesn't necessarily need to be the highest paid safety in the NFL. He just wants to stay in Kansas City long term and continue to chase Super Bowls. So I firmly believe a deal will get done prior to training camp, which is what you want if you're both sides, because you don't want to focus on your contract, where you sit within the organization. Get a 2-3 year extension done, probably 3, and then let's go to work. Let's get back to camp. Let's get back to preseason, and then ultimately the season come September. I definitely think Tyrann Mathieu will be a part of this team, not only this year, but in the long term as well. Should the Chiefs extend Mathieu? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I definitely think they should, so I'm obviously going to type my Y for yes. Now, obviously, the past couple of years, he's been a crucial piece on this defense. I mean, I don't think it's coincidental that once he came on board, this became a top 10, top 12 defense in the NFL. Steve Spagnuolo certainly has a lot to do with it, but Matthew's been a vocal leader and obviously a baller on the field these past couple of years. 10 interceptions and 21 pass breakups the last 2 seasons. Oh, and by the way, he plays the run very well. I love the Honey Badger. He needs to be a priority. Keep him long term. And if you do, I actually like how the secondary could shake out. I think you could add a cornerback to this unit, but I'm very high on L'Jarius Sneed's future. I think Rashad Fenton can be a starter in this league, whether it's at nickel or at cornerback. We'll see if Charvarius Ward starts this year. Maybe DeAndre Baker emerges, the former Giants first-round pick who signed with Kansas City late last season. Obviously, Juan Thornhill played well toward the end of last year. Lots of names, lots of bodies. Maybe Bashaud Breeland gets back into the mix as well. But either way, Tyrann Mathieu, not only is he a part of the present, he is a part of the future if you want to continue to chase Lombardi trophies. I think an extension's coming, and I think it's coming very, very soon. And obviously, if and when he signs, we'll break it down here on the Chiefs Report.